Hello everyone and welcome to a new IK video. This is Kincaid from M14, and in this one we're gonna start a new series. I'm gonna talk about various marches for season 1 and season 2 and the early season as well, the preparation season, because I see a lot of people who are lost. They don't know what march they are building, so I'm gonna help you to build a perfect march in the form that you want in order to be competitive even later on, even in Conquest season and in the future, the legendary season. So in this one, we're gonna talk about the fire march, how to obtain the immortals, which skills to use in season 1 and season 2, and what kind of attributes for the artifacts, the perfect attributes that you need to use for the artifacts as well. So let's start by talking about the immortals. First, we have Hippolita here. Hippolita, one of the easiest immortals to obtain in early game. You can simply obtain her fragments and unlock her from the insignia shop in the arena. Or if you're lucky, you can get her fragments from Hall of Immortals by summons, or the random fragments from the golden path. After, I think the golden path is available after 15 days of the server, you will be able to purchase the random fire immortal fragments, and then if you're lucky, you will be able to summon Hippolyta or other fire immortals as well. So Hippolyta is the most important immortal to have in your account. Even though you're not gonna build a fire march, Hippolyta would still be very important, and I already explained why in one of my previous videos. The second immortal that we have to get for our perfect fire march is Empress Wu. Empress Wu is a bit tricky to obtain. The most sure way that you can obtain her fragments is through the Continuation of Relics from the shop here. Your faction has to rank first in order to be able to purchase the Empress Wu fragments, and then you will be able to unlock her. This might take you several rounds if you do not get a lot of insignia here, because I think it costs 120k in order to unlock her fragments. So this could be a bit tricky. Or if you're lucky, you can summon her from the Hall of Immortals, I think. Yeah, the chances are very low, but still doable. Or you can get her from the random fragments as well. Once you unlock her, you will be able to purchase her fragments from the shop, so it's easy going from there. The third immortal that we need to get is Trajan. Trajan is a bit easier compared to Empress Wu. You can directly buy his fragments from the Golden Path. There he is. Once you get access to the Golden Path, you can simply build Trajan. And if you're lucky, you can get him through the summons as well. Not sure if he's available in the early season, to be honest, but I'm sure he is there starting season 2. And of course, the random fragments as well, you will be able to obtain his fragments, or later on you can get his fragments from King of the Hill. The last immortal that I would recommend using in a fire march is definitely Matilda, and I explained everything regarding Matilda in one of my previous videos, the one where I compared Matilda with Emperor Ken. So make sure to watch this video if you haven't, because I'm not gonna waste my time talking about her one more time. However, just to recap, a quick recap, Matilda's skill is very useful for fire immortals because she gives a boost of 20% increase in energy regain, and fire immortals have a very high energy regain compared to any other immortals in the game. So Matilda is the perfect fit for this march. So this is the perfect march in my opinion for season 1 and season 2 to use. So this is how to obtain the immortals. Let's move to the skills. This is definitely not the skills that we're gonna use for our fire march. So let's start with Empress Wu, since she's the main damage dealer in this march. She's the one that deals most of the damage, and the most important skill we use for Empress Wu as a free-to-play player or a low spender is definitely Chase. Chase is very simple. Every magical crit has been applied by Empress Wu. There is a 30% chance that Chase will be triggered, dealing 225% magical damage. And you have no idea how many times this skill was nerfed. At first it was any critical damage, it doesn't have to be magical, it was any critical damage. The chance was around 50% and the damage was around 300%, and then down to 250%, and then down to 225%. The skill was literally OP. However, right now it is not bad to use in Empress Wu, and I believe Empress Wu is the only immortal right now that could make use of Chase because of how the dynamics of the Fire March works. Fire March is literally built around crits. So if you notice the middle skill of the dragon, it increases the crit damage of 3 random allied units by 50%. And once you unlock the dragon tree, there will be more skills to increase the crit damage or the crit chances. So this is very important. The crit is very important for the Fire March. All right, the second skill we would use for Empress Wu is either we use Annihilation. Annihilation does a lot of damage. 300% damage is still a decent amount, and the trigger chance is also very high. 45% every 6 seconds is not bad at all. And so it would help increasing the trigger rate of Chase as well. Or you can use Death Breath. Death Breath is also a very powerful skill that applies damage every 6 seconds. The damage is magical and physical to 4 targets. That means that there is 4 damage applies every 6 seconds to 4 different targets. So this gives a very high chance to trigger Chase. However, the damage is not as high as Annihilation. This is why I recommend Annihilation more to use combined with Chase. The last skill is very situational. In case you're up against an Immortal that does a lot of control, just like Himiko, then you definitely have to use Fighting Master, because we cannot afford for Empress Wu to be controlled or exiled by Himiko skill, or controlled by an Immortal such as Loki, in case you run against someone who's Loki. So Fighting Master on Empress Wu is very important. In case you're not against someone who's using Himiko, maybe some physical damage teams like maybe Mixed March or Alex with Yi Sun Chen, then you don't have to use you don't have to bother with the dragon control, the Earth Dragon control. You can use a skill such as Toxin Nova. Toxin Nova is also very important because she does apply a lot of magical damage. Or then you can use Death Breath, because Death Breath will be combined with Annihilation and will trigger Chase a lot. So Death Breath, I don't have the skill right now, unfortunately. This is unlike my old account. I don't have all the skill or all the Immortals. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna make the other marches, but we will see in the future. So Toxin Nova or definitely Death Breath is a better option. So you have to use Chase, Annihilation, either Death Breath or Fighting Master. Let's keep Fighting Master for now. Alright, so these are the skills that we can use for Empress Wu. As for Matilda, we have to start with Assist. Assist is very important to protect Empress Wu from taking damage. This is how the skill works. So it is very important to keep Assist on Matilda to maintain the troops or the health for Empress Wu as much as possible, because, as I mentioned, it's the main source of damage in this march. The second skill I would recommend to use Sacrifice. Sacrifice is a very strong skill in Season 1. The skill simply, there's a 15% chance to increase your initial energy by 100%. This is not the highest chance, but still we will take it. It also increases 2 of your Immortals, 2 random of your Immortals, increasing their damage by 15%. In exchange, Matilda will lose 15% of her damage. Matilda doesn't really need the damage. She's a support Immortal, so this doesn't matter. What we need is the damage increase for 2 other Immortals, which means in a perfect scenario, we can get the damage increase for Empress Wu and Hippolita. Hippolita still does a fair amount of damage. So in a perfect scenario, the skill would apply to Empress Wu and Hippolita, increasing their damage by 15%. In some other scenarios, it could apply to Trajan and Hippolita, or it could apply to Trajan and Empress Wu. That means that there is a 50% chance that Empress Wu's damage will be increased by 15% by using Sacrifice on Matilda. The last skill we would use on Matilda is definitely a Grace. It is either Resist or Oaken Guard. I'm sure we're gonna use both skills on this march, so let's start with Resist. Resist is very important against this type of march, the magical dealing damage marches. Works for marches with Hammurabi, marches with Himiko, marches with Merlin. So very important to use Resist on such marches. Alright, so let's go to Hippolita right now. Hippolita's ultimate skill is kinda OP. It does a lot of energy control. She reduces the energy for the opponents by 100% per hit, and she applies 7 hits if you have her exclusive artifact. So the skills that I would like to build on Hippolita in Season 1 and Season 2 as a free-to-play or a low spender is the energy control skills, such as energy suppression. Energy suppression reduces the energy of all enemies by 50% for 12 seconds. So this is very OP to slow down the enemy team. The second skill would be Rage Blessing. Rage Blessing increases your energy regain of 3 random allied units by 50%. So what we're trying to do here is giving ourselves or our march the advantage of gaining energy quickly in the first 12 seconds and slowing down the enemy team's energy regain by 50%. So we kind of controlling the battle from the get-go. Our 12 seconds is very important. Our first 12 seconds for the fire march is very, very important. The last skill would be an aura skill that I'm not really sure of, because this could be a very situational skill. We either use Malice or Shelter. Malice reduces the enemy's crit rate by 20%. So this could work against the other magical damage dealing immortals such as Merlin, Himiko, Empress Wu, Hammurabi, or the other ranged immortals such as Genghis Khan. So Malice is very important in some situations. Some other situations where maybe you're up against a mixed march or Alexander, Yi Sun Chen march, you can use Shelter. And I'm sure Shelter wouldn't really be that much because there will be wounds on this type of marches, but still we would make use of the small heals that might get through. However, Malice should be our primary skill against most marches. The last immortal we have here is Trajan. Trajan is a defensive immortal, so definitely we're gonna use the most important aura on Trajan, which is weakness. Weakness is definitely the most important aura for fire marches. Weakness reduces the resilience rate of all enemy troops by 20%. The lower the resilience rate that they have, the higher your chance of dealing critical damage. So this is why weakness is very, very important for fire marches. So keep this in mind. The second defensive skill we would use is Oaken Guard. Oaken Guard is very important because it reduces the physical damage received for 3 allied units by 50% for 18 seconds. So we're gonna getting some defensive stat at the early game, maintaining our troops count. So Oaken Guard and Resist are kinda similar. So and Rage Placing and Energy Suppression is kinda similar as well. The last skill we would use is a skill that works perfectly with Energy Placing and Energy Suppression, which is War Placing. War Placing works perfectly with Energy Placing because it increases the damage of all your troops by 25% for the first 12 seconds of the battle. This is an insane skill for fire marches because the dynamics for fire marches and the reason that it's different from other marches is the energy regain. They have an insane amount of energy regain, all the immortals. Even though I have Empress Wu at boost 20, my energy regain on her is still above 120. And you can see Hippolyta at boost 22 is 120. And Trajan, since I upgraded him a bit more compared to the others, is above 124. This is why increasing their energy regain by 50% combined with the 20% from Matilda could be an insane energy for the entire march. So this is the perfect fire march that I would use in Season 1 or Season 2 for a low spender or even a free-to-play player. The only difference between both players is that the low spender might build Matilda and Trajan a bit faster. There is, of course, some kind of replacements for these two immortals if you do not have access to these yet. Maybe you can use Kin Emperor until you unlock Matilda. Maybe you can use Cyrus. Cyrus is a good fit in the Fire March still. However, Matilda is way better. And for Trajan, you can definitely use William. William still applies a decent crit buff, but the only reason I'm not using William is that his energy regain, even though he's a fire immortal, is very, very low. And it's something that I definitely hate about him. I don't really like the immortals with low energy regain. So this is the only reason I'm not using William, but he's still a decent replacement for Trajan if you do not have Trajan yet. So this is the skills that I would use for my Fire March. As for the dragon talents, I would definitely use, is it this one? Yeah, it is definitely this one. It's the Calamity one. The Calamity one increases, it changes the second skill from increasing the crit damage of 3 random allied units by 50% for 12 seconds. It becomes increasing the crit damage of the unit with the most magical damage, which in this scenario is definitely Empress Wu, by 15% for 27 seconds. And the more you upgrade the skill, the more the time will increase up to 90 seconds. I think if they do not make any changes to the skill yet. I believe we have some Fire Marches. Is it yeah, Sapio? Yeah, increase the crit damage of the allied unit with the highest magical attack by 50% for 76 seconds. Yeah, the 90 seconds is when you upgrade the skill to level 10. My bad. So it is up to 76 seconds so far. So this is the perfect talent to use for your Fire Dragon, which is the second page, which is Calamity. Here is a final look at the skills. Make sure to take a screenshot. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the other marches. If you have suggestions on how should I approach the other marches, because I don't have all the immortals. I don't have Merlin upgraded. I don't have the lightning immortals upgraded. I don't have most of the wind immortals upgraded, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna approach making these videos, and I'm too lazy to make any edits, to be honest, for these videos. So if you have any suggestions, make sure to mention them down below in the comments. I'll read all your comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and have a wonderful day.